I'm not threatening you. Say one more word, and that's 30 days. 30 days.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Sovereign Citizens Hall of Fame with your boy TP. Today, we are courtroom hopping into the courtroom of Judge Kristen D. Simmons out of the 54A District Court in the state of Michigan. This is going to be my first time sitting in on one of her proceedings, so I am interested in seeing how she handles the sovereign citizen before her. And from what I hear, this particular sovereign citizen, he likes to use the Bible and the scriptures as part of his motions and defense. I wonder where we've heard that before.
Then I got a note from one of the deputies that Mr. Pritchet wanted to talk to me. So here I am, and we are on the record. So Mr. Pritchet, good afternoon. It's August 5th. What do you want to share?
On the record, I believe there's been a mistake. Am I being forced to claim something that is not mine? Where is the proof again of evidence that that legal name you're assuming me to be belongs to me? Also, on the record, let the record show that Michael Granham's and any other false advocate forcibly and deceptively assigned by this court is hereby dismissed. Furthermore, is there any evidence that I am prohibited from having as my advocate and representative Jesus the Christ that is mentioned in the Holy Bible?
As you can see, we are no strangers to that type of defense or trying to bring the Holy Bible into the court proceeding or motions or trial or whatever have you. We saw that with Max Pritchet. And if you don't know who Max Pritchet is, you need to go and check out that video. I will put a link in the description for that one. That particular case, it was off the hook. It was out of control. Some very unfortunate things happened. Some people were pistol whipped and robbed in a home invasion. And Max Pritchet, before that home invasion, was involved in one where somebody actually lost their life. So you might want to check that out, because if you want to watch sovereign citizen with their super sovereign citizen hat on, Max Pritchet is definitely the one to check out after this. With that being said, guys, that's enough talking. Let's go ahead and jump into this proceeding.
On the record in the matter of the people of the city of Lansing versus Rambo L, file numbers 22L2761882, 881, 883. Council appearance, please.
Matt Staples on behalf of the city of Lansing.
Okay, and then Rambo L is present. Do you have an attorney, sir?
I'm here by special appearance.
Okay. Mr. Staples, my understanding is that you're moving to dismiss these.
Just the failure to display ops, Your Honor. I did check the Secretary of State. His license is valid, and he did show me that license, and that he does have it in his possession, so that the misdemeanor charge would be dismissed.
Okay, and there's no offer on the expired plate and the failed signal?
Not at this time, Your Honor. I believe
Okay.
Mr. L is planning on contesting those charges.
Is that correct, Mr. L?
Yes.
Okay, we'll set them for a hearing. February 14th at 9:30. Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
Nothing for the city, Your Honor.
Okay, you're all set, Mr. L. We'll see you on February 14th. Okay, is this L Rambo or Rambo L? You're muted. You have an attorney, sir?
No, I'm here by special appearance.
Okay, I'll put you in the private meeting room with the city attorney.
Your Honor, we've actually already met with Mr. Rambo L before. He was requesting a formal hearing on these two files.
Okay, sounds good. Formal hearings will be set for in-person appearance.
Actually, I filed a motion January 6th. This is when it went unanswered. I would like the court to dismiss this matter.
Okay, your motion to dismiss is denied.
How many days does the prosecutor have to answer my motion for demand for motion for challenge of jurisdiction that I submitted to the clerk? And I've served everybody, all parties. How long does he have? Because that happened January 6th.
I see it's a motion to show authority.
And also a demand for dismissal, lack of jurisdiction, failure to introduce evidence of an injury in fact, challenges jurisdiction of the court to prosecute. That was filed January 6th.
We only have one motion attached to the file. I don't see the other motions that you're referencing, sir.
It's timestamped by the court. I have it right here.
I see a motion to show authority, which the court has denied. And then there was a memo that was attached. There was not any other motion. I don't read via Zoom.
It's filed with the clerk. Everybody was served.
Mr. Staples, did you get a copy of the motion he's referencing?
I see a copy of the motion to show authority in our file. I don't recognize it as any sort of valid motion or pleadings, but I see a copy of it in our file.
Agreed. That's the same the court has. It's a motion to show authority. The other motions that he's referencing was not properly filed with this court or served as the court, neither the court nor Mr. Staples' office is in receipt of it. The motion to show authority was denied, is not in proportion with the Michigan court rules. It does cite, however, Luke 11:46, the King James Version, Luke 11:52, as well as some other articles and treaties. But nonetheless, as indicated by Mr. Staples from the Office of City Attorney, this is not a lawful or appropriately filed motion, and for that reason, it was denied before this court. But we will.
Well, I like to challenge jurisdiction right now. I have the right to travel.
An appropriate motion with the court under the Michigan court rules to challenge jurisdiction. But what we won't do is entertain motions under the King James Version of the Bible. Okay.
That was a different motion you're referring to. That was the motion to show authority.
We don't have the other motion, sir. So you can file that motion. It's just we don't have it. I don't know why we only have one motion, that we don't have the other one you're referencing. So you'd have to file that and serve it on the city attorney. We'll give you time to do that. I'm going to set both of these matters for hearing, though.
I can't chill. You telling me I don't have the right to challenge jurisdiction right now? I want to challenge jurisdiction right now.
You can file a motion for challenging the jurisdiction, sir.
I can't do a verbal motion?
No, you cannot.
So you tell me I have a right to do a verbal motion?
You don't have a right to do that. You're going to file it in writing and you're going to serve it properly on the parties that you're filing it against. Okay, sir? March 14th at 10:30 in person at the court will be the date for the formal hearing, and then we'll hear any arguments on motions if necessary. Do you have any questions today, Mr. L? Okay, well, then you're all set. Thank you. Okay, you can have a seat. Thank you. Today's the date and time set for a formal hearing. I have, I believe, one witness on Zoom. Counsel, you can proceed.
Officer Vanderwerf, would you state your name for the records, please?
Oh, you want to call him? Let me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Swear, man, no worries. Vanderwerf, can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, Judge. So I was traveling southbound on King when I observed a pickup truck in front of me that was changing lanes, failing to use its signal. So at that time, I activated my overhead lights on the vehicle to initiate a traffic stop. And then I made contact with the driver, who was later identified as a Rambo L. In our contact, he ended up handing me a piece of paper. At brief glance, when I looked at the piece of paper, it appeared to have what I believe was certain MCL codes that the subject may have typed onto the piece of paper. When I had asked him for a driver's license or identification, he was not really very cooperative. I also don't believe I was provided any insurance. At that time, I decided to issue him a citation for failing to signal, changing lanes, and failing to display a valid license. And then also the license plate went through the system was expired.
Mr. L, did you want to question the witness?
Yes. The document that you were referring to, it was a travel document. I was showing you, I was traveling versus driving, and I tried to explain that to you. And then you held me on the side of the road for approximately an hour. I requested a supervisor because they might better understand what I was doing, and you never provided that for me. Is that correct?
That's actually incorrect, because the reason that you were held on the stop for as long as you were is because I was waiting for a supervisor. So when I realized the supervisor was not there, I contacted him by phone, at which time he said he was delayed. And when I came back up to the traffic stop, I did ask if you wanted to wait further for a sergeant, and I don't believe that you did. And then you drove off when you were free to go.
Yes. Is it correct that I was held on the road for approximately an hour waiting for this whole encounter to end?
I do not remember if it was an hour specifically, but I do remember that the time length was probably, I would say probably close to that at the very least.
Well, it was an hour, and it caused me to be late for my son's banquet. And the reason, and I never got to speak to a supervisor. That's all the questions I had.
Okay, any redirects?
No redirect, Your Honor.
Okay, any additional witnesses today?
None from the city.
Okay, Mr. L, are you calling any witnesses today, or did you want to give your own testimony?
I would like to, I have some, I have a defense, my motion.
Okay, well, you filed a motion?
Yeah, I filed a motion, served across the
When did
city
you file a
attorney.
motion?
It was filed, it was mailed February 18th.
You filed a motion and mailed it February 18th. Did you serve a copy?
To the clerk of the courts and also to the city attorney's office.
Did you receive any motion, sir?
Your Honor, we did receive a motion. It did not have any hearing date stated on it. We had no timetable for a response. I would be happy to respond to the motion on the record orally or provide the court with briefing if they would like.
The court didn't get a copy of the motion in February.
I sent it to the clerk. And,
Yeah, typically when that happens, it's just attached to the file. I don't have a copy of any motion.
Well, I did my due diligence. I sent a copy to him. He has his.
Well, I don't know that you did your due diligence, because when you file a motion, you got to get a hearing date for that motion. And so
who's supposed to give me a hearing?
you got to get the hearing date from the clerk's office.
From the clerk's office?
Yeah.
So why did they give me one?
Did you contact them for a hearing date?
I contacted them, yeah.
And asked for
And I
hearing
asked
dates
them,
for your
and I
motion?
asked when was my hearing. They confirmed that it was today.
For your motion.
And I asked, did I have a hearing date? And they said,
And you do have a hearing date, but that's not what I asked you. Did you ask them, did you have a hearing date for your motion?
for my motion.
Yes.
They didn't tell me, but I did provide to him an order for the motion that gave him 21 days to respond.
Okay, you can make your motion before the court, because I don't have a copy. You can make it now orally.
Okay, well, now comes the beneficiary for Rambo L, defendant in error here by special appearance, not submitting to the court's jurisdiction, hereby moves the court to strike and dismiss the complaint filed by the officer Zinderbar. Am I pronouncing that right? Sorry if I'm not. For lack of ratification and commencement, no corpus delicti, no plaintiff lacks jurisdiction, personal for firm jurisdiction. Christina Simmons being appointed as trustee, the prosecutors being appointed as co-trustee, I, Rambo L, an executor and beneficiary of a set of account. Also, I filed a declaration of non-citizenship nationality because I've done a name change. Where my point of authorities are the United States District of Columbia Corporation in Volume 20, Corpus Juris Section 1785. We find United States government as a foreign corporations with respect to the states. Since the corporation is fictitious, is a fictitious person, it can't see, speak, smell, or touch itself. It's a fictional, is a fiction in the real world. It needs a conducting, transmitting utility, a liaison, some sort of connection to a fictional person. Constitutional Amendment number 1, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of a religion, prohibiting free exercise thereof, abridging freedom of speech or right of press or right of people peaceful assemble, petition the government for redress of grievance. Number 5, Constitutional Amendment. The right of people should be secure in their person, houses, papers, in effect against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued upon probable cause supported by an oath or affirmation, particularly describing the place search of persons, things to be seized. And then number 7, Constitutional Amendment, suits at common law where value of controversy exceeding $20, the right of a jury trial shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States according to the rules of common law. I asked for a jury trial, I didn't get that. Ramboel is a man, people, but not a person. I was not operating in commerce, nor was I a driver on the road for travel. A driver is an employee transporting goods or passengers. Rambo was just merely traveling in my private property. Here are some examples of my Supreme Court constitutional defenses. Number 1, case number 1, the right to travel is part of a liberty where a citizen cannot be deprived of due process under the 5th Amendment, Kent versus Duels, 357 U.S. 116, 125. Case number 2, I have the right to travel freely and unencumbered pursuant to Shapiro versus Thomas, 394 U.S. P 618. That right is so basic, it doesn't even need to be mentioned. The state of Michigan arbitrarily and erroneously perverted my right into a privilege and issue a license and a fee for it. Murdoch versus Pennsylvania, 319 U.S. 105. Supreme Court trumps everything, says that no state can convert a secured liberty into a privilege and issue a license and fee for it. Case number 4, Shuttle versus Birmingham, Alabama. It shows that I can ignore a license and engage in the right with immunity. Case number 5, Marbury versus Madison, 5 U.S. 137 shows that any law in violation of the Constitution is null and void. Case number 6, Shuttleworth versus Birmingham, 373 U.S. 262 says I may ignore the license and the fee and engage with the right with immunity. That means you can't punish me. And United States versus Bishop defines willfulness as an evil motive or intent to avoid a known duty task under the law with a morality certain. I submit I couldn't have been doing an evil task. I totally followed the Constitution in the Supreme Court. Bryers versus United States says it shows how the judge is supposed to interpret the Constitution, and it's supposed to be interpreted in the favor of me. A.M. Jurisprudence, Volume 16, Section 97 of the Constitutional Law section says it should be received as a liberal interpretation in favor of the citizen, especially true with respect to those who were designated to safeguard the liberty and security of the citizen in regards to both persons and property. See note 31, Bryers versus United States. No state may convert a liberty into a privilege. Murdoch versus Pennsylvania. An appearance ticket is not accusatory instrument. It doesn't confer jurisdiction over the defendant. People versus Gabay, 670 New York 2D 92517. I was not engaged in a commercial trade at the time of the alleged infraction, and I do not proceed to say a license is upon a constitutional detention. Motor vehicle means every description of a carrier drawn by mechanical power used in commercial purposes on the highway. There's neither injury nor any trespasses. All crimes are commercial, 27 CFR 72.11, and every alleged crime has to have a nature and cause and be prosecuted by the name of the people of the state. I don't have a contract with the state. I don't see an injured party. I don't know why I'm here.
Any additional argument on your motion?
I would like the court, I would ask the court to dismiss this to failure to state a claim where relief can be granted.
The court has heard the argument. I'm first address your motion, Mr. L, and I'm going to deny your motion as clearly indicated in the response by the city. Your claims would be most appropriately brought before the Court of Claims, and so you can't challenge a constitutional issue in this court, okay? As it relates to the authority and the process to bring this matter before the district court as it relates to your civil infractions, you have an expired plate and a failure to signal. Again, a jurisdiction or venue before this court is appropriate. This is a situation or incident that occurred in the area of South MLK, Martin Luther King Boulevard. That's in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan. And so you're subject to the laws and the ordinances of the city of Lansing, but also the laws under the Michigan compiled laws. Here in this district court, we are subject to the Michigan court rules. And so, although I gave leniency with your motion, it was not properly filed and or served. But it also does not comport with the Michigan compiled laws or Michigan court rules. And so for those reasons, it is denied. Now, as to the civil infraction, failed to signal an expired plate from December 3rd, 2022, we do not provide any valid dispute or defense to these civil infractions. You could have appeared and showed information that demonstrated you did have a valid plate at the time, or that you even have one now, which could reduce the citation, but that's not taking place. And so I'm going to sustain both violations of civil infractions. There's a fine of $125 on each. Okay, sir?
My next defense, am this done or can I say something else?
You can say something else. Actually, if you had any further defense, but you said.
My next defense would be, Michigan allows 72 hours to register any vehicle when it's first purchased. He never asked for anything. I never got a chance to explain myself on the side of the road.
Okay, do you have proof that you had just purchased it within 72 hours?
I don't have the title.
Okay, thank you, sir. If the defense is not meaningful, if you can't provide any evidence to support that defense. That being said, your fine is $125 on each file. When do you intend to make payment?
Do I have a chance to appeal this?
You can.
I would like to appeal.
Okay, you want to file an appeal as the civil infraction?
I want to file an appeal today.
Okay, you can file a motion for reconsideration. But you need to follow Michigan court rules, okay? We don't submit to the sovereign rules, okay? You take that to the sovereign court.
Well, guys, we have come to the end of another proceeding. And let me first and foremost say, I believe that Judge Kristen Simmons handled this situation very well. She wasn't really for the nonsense. She even had a couple of slick things to say to Mr. Rambo L. But we see in the first appearance, what was amazing to me is, how do you have a traveling argument, but you have a valid driver's license? That didn't really make any sense. And then we see him, file the motion to show authority, which wasn't filed correctly. And that was the one that he filed with the Bible scriptures that later on the judge would say, we're not going to tolerate that type of stuff, motions being filed, with scriptures, because that has nothing to do with what's going on here in the courtroom. And then we see in his second appearance that, now it's the trial And we see the prosecutor ending his questions with the officer, and then Mr. Rambo L gets to ask the officer questions, and he wanted to wait on higher authority to come, but he blamed the officer for having to wait for so long because the other officer didn't show up, and he blamed him for missing his son's banquet. I mean, it wasn't a whole lot of commentary here to be had or to be said. Mr. Rambo L, he just didn't want to really take responsibility or accountability for what he had done at this particular traffic stop. And it doesn't make sense. If you got to be to your son's banquet, then why stand on something that, first of all, isn't lawful, and isn't worth you missing your son's banquet or getting there late. And then we see, obviously he lost the trial. He had to pay the 2 fines of $125. Then he says, I want to appeal immediately. And then we hear the judge tell him, listen, if you're going to appeal, it has to be according to the Michigan court rules and not according to some type of sovereign laws or sovereign rules that you're coming up with. So that's pretty much all of it in a nutshell from what I saw. Just another sovereign citizen kind of with the same arguments, just repeating the same thing over and over again and getting the same results. But with that being said, guys, we've come to the end of the proceeding. Once again, we come to the end of this video. This is Sovereign Citizens Hall of Fame. And for now, guys, Sovereign Citizens Court is adjourned. See you guys on the next video. God bless.